First things first. So if you're committed to showing up in a joyful mood today, what's the question of the of this session, Hayden?
Yeah, well, it's not even a question. It's really a statement. Notify your face. let, let let them know. Let the mirror know that you're happy to be here.
Yeah, and the question is, if you're not, why not? So yeah, because our body language comes out in everything we do. It either magnifies our energy and vibration, or it shrinks it down. So just realize that how we show up physically. Yeah,
That's right.
you know,
That's right. We're
stepping up.
here. We're here now. We're ready.
We are ready. So, welcome. We have a fun chat today in store for you. We're continuing our, how many of you love this? Um, Purpose, fueled. So, fueled by a bigger reason, a deeper reason for doing anything, in this case, creating an income. So, we're going to create a side income, which can be a legacy income or that extra 500, 1,000, whatever it is. Why not tie it into a bigger impact driven mission based reason, for goodness sake,
Mm,
versus the next thing that it's just a thing.
that's right.
It has no substance, meaning, well, what's the bigger reason why do anything, much less build a business? And speaking of that, we're at a crucial point in our history now. We have huge tech changes. We have AI doing A, B, and C. There's all kinds of perspectives and takes on that. We have automation coming into the workforce, into our jobs, into everything. It's a very positive thing, or it can be a negative thing, depending on your perspective. And then we have some potential changes. If you want to call them layoffs, we can, but it's kind of a repositioning of the workforce, maybe a more positive way to look at that. And people are seeking alternative paths to create their income, maybe even multiple paths or multiple streams. So we're at an interesting time in history. So one of the questions I would like to start this broadcast with, Hayden, and by the way, I think I said it in the title. Hayden and I have we've earned well over seven, or if not multiple seven figures in this profession. So we're coming from a pathway. Believe me, there's trainers who have earned a whole lot more than us, but we're coming from our unique perspective and just looking to bring you some insights and some maybe fresh ways of looking at things. In this case today, my first question, because of all this, what it's a two-part question. Number one, why do income streams like our vehicles like direct sales, network marketing, e-commerce, why do those type of ventures soar when things get shaky, Hayden? What's been your experience?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest reasons is it is something that is has been here for a while. It brings it back to our core essence of human beings and being able to communicate and convey a message and a vision, and allows people to be in community that is growing, allows people to be in community that is positive, that is uplifting. Again, when you're with the right in the right place, and so I think it's something that people know is available. And one of the things that maybe they don't always see themselves doing it, or I've talked to so many people who are like, I never thought I would do this, or I never thought I would do it again. But when you start to see it in a different light and you start to see it for what it can be, and like we're talking about a purpose-fueled impact, a purpose-fueled income, that's exactly what it is. Because the only way you can earn an income is by positively impacting somebody else's life. And it starts with one and can go to 10, 20, 30,000, 10,000, 100,000, 300,000. The sky is the limit. And I see, this within this profession, we're able to change with the times. And whether you like it or not, like, the job market shifts, technology shifts, the world is always changing. And when you are in community, it's much easier to adapt to those changes. It's much easier in this profession to get ahead of the times, and the people that don't, or the companies that don't, they struggle for a little while, and it takes a little bit of that, a little bit of that time. But the thing that cannot be replaced is the human connection. And that's exactly what we have here, to be able to constantly adapt, bring people in, welcome people in, develop a skill set that, can really go into every area of life. A lot of times people will, fall into this profession because they need something. They need to fill the gap. And this is a great way to fill the gap, but also to expand that gap and expand our mindset and expand our reach and expand our community while we're evolving with the times, which I'm sure we're going to talk about here a little bit today. But it allows for that flexibility. And I think that's why, this profession is always growing, and in the sense of it is evolving. It's always evolving. And that's what I love about this.
Yeah, you mentioned, I think you said change and evolving about 10 or 15 times in that last through, which is a clue, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
one of our favorite mentors, Jim Rohn, talks about that's a constant. You're always coming into or in the middle of or coming out of some type of storm or challenge in your life, and that's just part of how life is, and it's pretty cool. So, question number two, I really, let's address the elephant in the room. And you and I, it's kind of funny when our Hayden and I mentor a lot of individuals throughout the last few years, and including now with our current venture. And people ask all the time, Robert, what do I do when somebody says, I've been there, done that, or that network marketing thing, or the direct sales thing, or even that e-commerce thing doesn't work. I had an uncle or aunt or myself. So I guess one of my main questions right now for somebody maybe watching this is, what are two or three of the realities? And is it just this profession, or is it any entrepreneurial endeavor that has these inherent challenges, if you want, or realities? What are some of the realities that it's not all roses? Meaning, it's a simple business, especially when we have a system like we do, but it's not an easy business. How do we address that?
Yeah, well, I would say, I mean, anything worthwhile is going to have its struggles. Anything that is, where it might be new, it might be something that is, a little bit foreign, or you've heard stories from, through the grapevine, and or through the telephone line, whatever it may be. But every opportunity, every business, every entrepreneurial endeavor is going to have its challenges. And I just encourage people, well, what would it look like if it could be done the right way? What would it look like if it could be, meet your criteria, or what even is your criteria for something that, you would deem as, hey, this is good, or this is bad, or, whatever it may be. Because most people don't really know what they're looking for. They are just so tied to the stigma of maybe what they have heard in the past, but not really seen it for what it can be or what it actually is. And I like to ask people a simple question, like, what would it look like if it was done the right way? What would it look like if it was, you were able to plug into a community and a system where you're able to thrive and grow? And what if the worst thing that happens is you just became a better person?
Wow.
And so I think just, asking people to take a deeper look, take another look, ask some questions of people that have actually done it and make it happen, and continue to make it happen. What is their perspective, instead of somebody's perspective that, really probably hasn't been very successful in many of the things that they've done, and their outlook on things is maybe a lot more negative than, what it takes to build something that lasts, and that can grow, and that is something that's going to be fruitful for you and your environment and your network and your in the abilities that you have.
Yeah, well said. Because I've always used I love using the analogy, Hayden, and those listening, of, like, if you're going to take some relationship advice or even marriage advice, would you go see somebody who's been divorced 6 times, and somebody
Right.
who has a string of very unhealthy, caustic relationships, or would you single out people who have either a happy relationship or happy marriage, and that they've sustained that. You want to build a house? Find somebody who had some, who's at least build a who has a track record, I should say.
Right. Right.
And it depends on, as you said, that perspective on and who you're asking. That if you do seek advice, which we recommend you do, seek advice from positive individuals who have that committed spirit about them. They can give you sound advice. So
I love that analogy. Yeah, I think yeah, especially with the relationships, it's like, who do you want to take advice from? People that have what you want, or people that, don't and have also struggled through the process. Yes, you can learn a lot from both, but to learn from people that already have what you want, or already have a piece of what you want, I think is one of the most valuable things that you can do stepping into any endeavor.
Yeah, amen to that. And there's always multiple perspectives on any subject, So I think we all realize that inherently. One of the big things, there's a variety of ways, even to create a residual or passive income stream, which is a big topic for us to speak on. What makes, there's affiliate marketing, there's speaking gigs, there's all kinds of e-commerce options, etc. There's a lot out there, coaching, selling programs, etc. What is two or three of the inherent strengths, if you will, of the profession that we are in, that we've been in for many years now and successful with us? So what are the two or three, maybe a little more reasons, if you fit? And don't just give the two or three reasons, but what type of personality really thrives in this profession? I would love for you to answer those two questions.
Yeah, I guess the type of personality that really thrives is like servant leadership. The ability to really want to help people is, I think, one of the number one traits that I see in people being successful or not. The second thing is, are you deeply driven by something bigger? We call that the why. Why are you doing this? Why are you creating? Why are you living? What are you living for? What are you trying to build? Are you somebody that is trying to leave a legacy? Or are you somebody that is just trying to, get by and just make it happen, and whatever happens, and, the signs will show up, and here I am. Or, is it somebody that, you're motivated and you do want to grow and evolve? Because we know if you're not growing and evolving, you're essentially dying, and you're getting caught and swept up in the wind, and you're getting caught up in what everybody else is saying, what everybody else is thinking. You're getting pulled into the narrative, left, right, Democrat, Republican, good, bad. And, the reality is we have the ability to change, and we have the ability to grow, and we have the ability to take in information and take it for what it is, and build our own lives. And that's the thing that, I really see successful people doing. And what makes this different and creating a residual income in compared to other places, the cost of entry is relatively low
Yeah,
for what the upside is. And I think that it's good, and it's also bad. The bad part is people don't take it as if they're investing $100,000 of, $500,000 into a franchise. They don't take it as seriously, where this still has the ability to pay out more than that. This still has the ability to pay out millions and millions every single year. And the good thing is, everybody can come in, and you have an opportunity to drastically change the outcome of your life. You have the ability to drastically change the legacy that you get to leave, which then can lead into doing other endeavors that you want to. I think the second biggest thing is the system. Is there a system in place? Because systems duplicate and people don't. And so you need to have a system in place that, number one, is proven success. Number two, that is relevant. And number three, that anybody can plug into, whether they're looking to earn $500 a month or $500,000 a month. Is this a system that can work for all? Now, there's other intricacies within that, but is the basis of that system allow you to do that, because if it does, then you can create a residual income that lasts whether you are working or not working in that moment or in that season.
Yeah.
And that is, some of the biggest things that I think our profession really exemplifies, is that you don't have to know everything and be everything and be the expert whatsoever. You get to plug into a system and plug others into a system and allow, the community, so to speak, to help elevate and grow through that process. I think those are just a few of the reasons why, this profession is, second to none in those categories. Again, when it's done with the right people, the right company, right product or service.
Yeah. Well said. There's
Oh, if
three
there's
reasons.
something else that you would like to add to that?
I mean,
We could
bottom
probably
line,
keep going, could go on for lists and lists, I know, but
I know, because at the end of the day, I think you nailed it in the first, when you first started answering that particular question, you were mentioning servant leadership. And, we tend to attract, especially you attract who you are. And, and if you love the stage and you love the fun, love the trips, then they're there for you. If what gets you out of bed is being able to inspire that next person because you've impacted their life either on in our case, a wellness perspective, health perspective, or income, whatever that looks like, depending on what really motivates you with your personality style, then you connect that to the particular product or service, because it may not be. You and I have been in wellness and the holistic, and now with the new technology, but that's the path we found ourselves and love it. That may not be your path. Maybe your path is some other product or service that really lights you up. Go for that. There's a lot. Just make darn sure that it's, as Hayden said, the community and the founders and the people behind that company do match up with you core value wise. Otherwise, it's built on sand and it will not last. We personally have seen that. So, if speaking of that, this is a beautiful segue into my next to the last question. If somebody's still on this live, they're obviously looking and they're open and they're learning. So, based on what you've seen, you have a handhold, both of us do, and many of our mentors obviously do, on what's happening in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years. And we can either be ahead of that curve and ahead of some technologies that will be incredible to get behind as an entrepreneur or not. So, what do you see some of those major trends being if somebody is evaluating? Not, there's a lot of ways to earn the quick buck. We're talking about now, this question's more about that true residual and legacy type of income. How would you answer that question?
Yeah, I would say that's where, some of the questions and the research have to, really come in from you as an individual watching this. Is it something like, are they talking, is that company, is the community talking about the future? Here's what's coming down the line. Here's our plan. Here's what, we've envisioned. Here's where technologies have been changing, like with what we're, working with in stem cell activation. Like, that is now starting to become something that more and more people are cognizantly aware of, but don't know a whole lot about. And at the same time, the wherewithal to be able to know from the inventor and founder 10 years ago to say, hey, this is where wellness is going. This is self-directed, I don't, self-directed. I want to say the right words here so we stay compliant.
Yeah, it's like self-directed healthcare,
Yeah,
so
self-directed healthcare
yeah.
is where it's going, and giving people their power back. And so do we have technologies that are dealing with? I think a lot of us need to go back to the essence of who we are in light, and life was started with a spark of light. And now we've been able to see that what happens when the sperm enters the egg, it is a flash of light, that zinc light occurs. And so how do we allow ourselves to get back to that? How do we utilize technologies to get back to that, so that we are constantly sparking light within us? Things like water. how important that is, and getting great water in with hydrogen and light technology being imprinted into it. What are we, are the things that are being talked about forward facing, even if we don't completely understand right now, but are they forward facing so that there is a future here? We're not talking about things that used to be done, or things of the past, or just coming up with some Me Too thing that everybody else has. Like, is this forward facing enough? And so I see a lot with that self-directed healthcare. I see a lot with light, giving people their sovereignty and their power back, and really getting in tune with the body to know what we need. I see, water and hydrogen being that, really the next steps of giving people the ability to feel absolutely incredible, age more youthful, and have a lot of fun in the process doing it.
Yeah, feel more youthful, have a lot of fun in the process. My brand is like the adventurers, and so is yours. Adventurers. People want to go on adventures, travel the planet, experiencing other cultures, other people, other
Yep.
beautiful parts of God's creation. So, if and that's the very last question, is that what do we recommend people? What's the easiest and simplest way to evaluate vehicles that we're evaluating to see if they match up to us? So I know you and I have, you mentioned the system several times on this chat. I know we have a little educational system, and that's really our call to action at the end of these lives. We typically give you an option. We're going to support that, whatever that looks like. We would invite you on this call. It's called an overview. Every Monday night, we do a live overview of a particular vehicle that we're aligned with. It may not be your vehicle, but then again, it may be. You only will know unless you look deeper. Thank goodness we did. And so the simple call to action, if this intrigues you based on our conversation and you're in that evaluation process, so maybe you're aligned with the vehicle and you're happy and respectful, great. Then look here and see what a good, maybe you don't have a system there. That's fine. Or even, so look at our system and take the good parts from that. Hey, have at it. Or maybe you're looking for something that aligns more closely with your values and the legacy to do it alongside what you're doing. Then we just put overview in the comments, and we'll send you either the link to the live or we record those sessions. So what's a closing thought, a closing comment for the individual? Anybody still on this live at this point is leaning in, and they're obviously intrigued. What is your closing comment to them?
Yeah, I would just say stop waiting, stop thinking about it, stop saying like, well, start to think, stop thinking about all the things that could go wrong, or I'll start next week, I'll start next year, I'll start at the beginning of the year, I'll start next month. Just stop waiting. Like, life is now, and life is happening now, and you owe it to yourself to put yourself on the best path, you and your family, the best path forward, to have optimal health, to have optimal community, and to have, an optimized bank account. And that doesn't just happen overnight. That happens through a process, and the faster that you start, the better it's going to be. And so I just encourage you, stop waiting, check it out, look and see what we have going on. I'm excited to personally be doing that overview tonight with my partner Gigi as well, and we would love to have you on as guests and see if this is the right fit for you, and start taking in that information. And that's what we do. We educate, you decide, and we support, and whatever that may be. We're excited to invite you in and just take a look.
Do the do, and it is now o'clock.
Yep, that's right.
My closing thought: one of the biggest tools that the deceiver has in our world, as far as the enlightened creator that we align with, is that his biggest tool is to say is tomorrow. His biggest tool is just putting things off in lieu of the perfect time. It's never the perfect time. Just we invite you to act now. So Hayden, love and light to you and Gigi. Thanks for being on this live. As we always say, the VIP on this call, whether live or recording, is you, because you showed up and you're acting on your future and the ability to really make a difference. If you're breathing, there's a reason for that. So take care. God bless.
Thanks, Robert.